Good morning and welcome to Inside SA Soccer. We are going into the weekend and it's the weekend of CAF football. Mamelodi Sundowns, South Africa's best team on the continent, begin their campaign to try and win a second title. You remember they last won it in 2016. And fascinatingly, their first match is against Saint Eloi Lupopo. Now that's a name now that every South African has to be familiar with. This is the team that knocked Orlando Pirates out, and now they are coming for Mamelodi Sundowns in the group stages. Can they do that? Can they beat yet another South African team? I think this match they're playing tomorrow in Pretoria, is the good news for Sundowns perhaps, is the fact that Mr. Mukoko will not be playing. Mr. Mukoko, if you remember, is that crazy looking guy who misbehaved against Orlando Pirates. And also their coach, Guy Bukasa, will not be on the bench because he too is serving a suspension that is from way back. He did not serve, but CAF actually ruled that he shouldn't play. And Comrade David Legge, our African football expert of Agence France Presse, is with me on the line to just look ahead to the matches and talk a lot of African football stuff. Comrade, good morning and thank you so much for making time for us as usual.
Thank you, Brad Jake.
Yeah. Are you surprised by the decisions that CAF took with regards to Lupopo? I think Orlando Pirates had protested about two players who they felt should not have played, and they were hoping to get in via the back door, as some would say, but that hasn't happened. But Lupopo have been punished, so they are not going to have Mukoko, and also their coach won't be on the bench.
Yeah, Brad Jake, I'm very pleased. We on your show pushed for Mukoko to be punished, and he's got a 2-match ban. I would have given him a 22-match ban myself. I mean, we saw what he did to the goal scorer of Pirates. What we didn't see initially, but we saw later on video, was him going up behind Apollos and just belting him from behind. Brad Jake, this guy's got a few loose screws, and really he's got no place on the football pitch unless he changes his behaviour. Now, you'll remember, Brad Jake, in the last Champions League, Sundowns got off to a poorish start because they were held at home by Maniema Union from DR Congo. And it became a rather nerve-wracking qualifying campaign for them, which they only clinched the place in the quarterfinals quite late on. So the situation tomorrow is really quite simple. They just need to win this match. And, amid all the drama about Limpopo, the protest, and also Limpopo, I see, claiming that a substance was sprayed in what they call their locker room. We would call it maybe change room or dressing room. There's so much drama. But the fact is, in that return match in Soweto, Pirates won 3-0. They were very convincing winners. And if Pirates can beat this team 3-0, Brad Jakes, I'm pretty certain that Sundowns, I'm not saying it's going to be 3-0, but they should be able to win. And it's the story that we've said so many times on your show. The road to success in the group stage is very straightforward. Obviously, you want to win every match, but that's not really feasible in Africa. There are too many difficulties. So what you do is you aim for 3 home wins, that's 9 points, and try and avoid losing your away matches, which would mean at least 3 points. That gets you up to 12, and that guarantees you a place in the quarterfinals. But our dear friend, Mr. Miguel Cardoso, he's forever complaining about the fixture schedule. Well, Sundowns have had a bit of a break now, Brad Jake, so they should be nice and fresh and raring to go. And I would be surprised if they don't collect maximum points.
Yeah, I mean, in the same group that they are in, Al Hilal are hosting MC Alger. They will have an eye on that because that's the match that can have an impact on just how they finish. How do you foresee that, Rulani Mokwena going to Al Hilal? And where would Al Hilal be playing their matches?
The interesting there, Brad Jakes, on a previous edition of your show, we said, Hilal are trekking all the way up to Benghazi in Libya for their home matches. Well, that's all changed. And the reason for that is CAF have just now given permission to Al Hilal and also Al Marek, that's the Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates of Sudan, basically. Those two clubs are going to be able to play in the Rwandan Premier League. Now, last season played in the Mauritanian League. They now want to play in the Rwandan League. And you may remember, Brad Jakes, I said, wouldn't it make more sense to play your home matches in Kigali, given the fact that you're going to be based in Rwanda? And that is exactly what has happened. So Mamelodi Alger this week, along with Mr. Congratulations, they headed off for Rwanda, not for Libya. And Libya, of course, will be much closer for Rulani and going down to Rwanda. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting, because as much as Raja, the Sundowns want to keep an eye on, obviously also keeping an eye on what's happening elsewhere. Now, Al Hilal is a great story in the sense that despite the civil war in Sudan, they're still managing to fulfill all their obligations, both domestically and internationally. And they have sort of, in inverted commas, home advantage in this match. The interesting thing, Brad Jakes, about Mamelodi is if you look at their record in qualifying for this group stage, they actually only won one of their 4 matches. They drew the other 3. They drew home and away against a club from Cameroon. They drew away to a club from Liberia and beat the Liberians 3-0 in Algeria. So this is a really interesting one, and it's a difficult one to call. Mamelodi will want, at the very least, to get a draw. Al Hilal, on the other hand, playing in Kigali, will want maximum points. The sad thing, I think, Brad Jakes, is I've watched some previous matches in Kigali used as a neutral venue, and really the crowds were minimal. So, if Hilal were playing this match in Khartoum or in Omdurman, there'll be 30,000 Sudanese roaring them on. And sadly, that just won't be a factor this weekend. That one's got a bit of a draw look about it. I don't know why.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes. I mean, then in the other groups, I mean, we've got Pyramids are also playing tomorrow as the defending champions. They are hosting Rivers United. You've got Al Ahly and JS Kabylie. I mean, just take us through some of the matches that you think will be fascinating, that we should be looking out for.
Yeah, well, if we look at it, first of all, Brad Jakes, through sort of Southern Africa glasses, you've got Power Dynamos of Zambia. They've qualified for the group stage for the very first time, so well done to them. They're away, though, to Renaissance Berkane. Now, we've spoken a lot on your show about Renaissance Berkane. They did extremely well in the CAF Confederation Cup. Since 2019, they reached 5 Confederation Cup finals. They won 3 of them. Now, for the first time in their history, they're going to play in the Champions League. This is a big step up for them. With home advantage, Brad Jakes, I expect Berkane will beat Power Dynamos. And as you said, Pyramids, the defending champions, they're up against Rivers United of Nigeria. Now, Nigerian clubs have not done well this season. Rivers are the only survivors of the 4 clubs who went into Africa. That's going to be a tough one in Cairo. I'm pretty confident that Pyramids will win this one. And I'm not going to be very popular, Brad Jakes, in Zambia or Nigeria, but my forecast is Group A. It's going to be a battle between Berkane and Pyramids for first place, and whoever isn't first, I think, will finish runners up. We move on to Group B. We got Young Africans of Tanzania up against FAR Rabat of Morocco, and we got Al Ahly, as you said, up against JS Kabylie of Algeria, who are coached by none other than Joseph Zinbauer, the former Pirates coach. So we got quite a few coaching connections. This is an interesting group, Brad Jakes. Al Ahly, in the previous round, the qualifying, boy, they made it difficult, against the team from Burundi. They won 1-0 away. That's a good result. But they only won 1-0 at home. In days gone by, that margin of victory, I think, would have been considerably larger. But we know actually, it's the same every year. They're always the title favourites, and understandably so. Record 12 times winners of the competition. No other club has won it more than 5 times. So I would give them the vote to beat Kabylie in Cairo. Young Africans against FAR Rabat. Interesting one. That one also has a bit of a draw look about it. Yeah, I mean, remember FAR, they gave Sundowns a good run for their money last year. Both matches in Morocco and in Pretoria ended in draws. Here, Brajeks, I think it's actually to win the group, but I think Kabili, Yanga, and Far kind of battle potentially
anyone
for
can
the
get.
runners-up position. Remember, just reminder to all our listeners, both the winners and the runners-up qualify. But if you finish third or fourth, you're out of the competition. We've already touched on Group C, and then we come to Group D, and here we've got Esperance of Tunisia. We all know them so well. They're up against Alien of Mali, debutants in the competition. I've got no hesitation in tipping Esperance to win that one with home advantage. And then we've got Simba of Tanzania, the former club of our own Fadlu Davids. And they're up against Petro Luanda, another club that I think South Africans know pretty well. Yeah, that's another Brajeks one that's, a lot of these look very, very close. And you're not, I'm very confident about teams like Pyramids winning at home and Athlete, but some of the others are difficult to call. But the one thing you do not want to do in the first round is lose at home. That immediately puts you at a huge disadvantage. Remember, there are 6 rounds. You play 3 home matches, 3 away matches. And if you lose at home in the first round, then you go into an away match in the second round. And I think already psychologically, you're under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, look, let's see how it goes. I mean, moving over to the CAF Confederations Cup, the secondary competition, South Africa has 2 representatives in the form of Kaizer Chiefs and Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch start at home, although at home is very, 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 very far away from home. And then Chiefs are traveling to Al Masry in Egypt. I mean, how do you fancy their chances there?
But Kaizer Chiefs, to me, are incredibly confident. Maybe, just maybe, they know something I don't know. Because my concern about Chiefs is Sereno is out. He's suspended. Lupopo is out. Kanyuso Mayo is out. And they're away to Al Masry. Now, Al Masry, I mean, they've never won a CAF competition, but they're regular qualifiers for the quarterfinal stage. This match is in Suez. It's not in Cairo itself. And if Chiefs can get away with a draw from that game, Brajeks, I think they'll be doing extremely well. Look, there's no harm in confidence. There's no rules against it. But I just hope Chiefs realize what they're up against. Masri are regular African competitors, and we all know the strength of Egyptian clubs in the CAF competition.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. We got Athlete and Zamalek. They're the best known. But look what Pyramids did last season. They knocked out Pirates.
Yeah.
They defeated Sundowns in the final. And, encouragingly for the millions of Chiefs supporters, Kaiser Matong Jr., he says they've thoroughly analysed Masri. Well, I hope they have, because this is going to be a tough one, Brajeks. Chiefs against Masri in South Africa, I would give Chiefs a good chance of winning there. But in Egypt, to me, a point would be very much a victory for Chiefs and a defeat for Masri. Masri will expect, of course, to get maximum points. So a draw would be very much in favour of Chiefs. And remember, next weekend, Chiefs are hosting Zamalek in your end of the wood, up there in Polokwane.
Yes.
It's amazing, Polokwane. It's right up in the north of the country, but suddenly it's the home ground of Stellenbosch from deep south, and it's also the home ground for Chiefs from the centre of the country. So there must be something in the water up there that suits them.
We've cooked some magic for them to come and play here now. But Stellenbosch are coming here. It's
an absolute disgrace, Brajeks. We spoke on your show about last year. They had to play they played 1 or 2 matches in Cape Town, but then they had to play in Durban at Moses Mabhida. And then, to me, worse still, they had to play in Loftus Versfeld. I mean, Loftus Versfeld is a great stadium, but it's an awful long way from Stellenbosch. Now what's happening? They're going 3 hours drive north of Loftus, way up to Polokwane. I mean, they couldn't have gone any further north. And it's a very sad indictment. And, Stellenbosch Brajeks, as we've mentioned repeatedly on your show, they're really struggling at the moment. They just can't buy a win, in inverted commas, in the Premiership. They took quite a beating in the final of the MTN 8 against Pirates. I've constantly complained about the fact that they just don't have players who can regularly score goals. And I see now a couple of their players, Magella and Nku, are on the transfer list. There's something not quite right at that club at the moment.
Yeah. Interestingly, Coach Stevie Barker is very upbeat for this one. He believes they have what it takes to win. I think maybe moving away from the domestic league, going into the continent, will give them some spark of sorts. But he sounded very positive looking ahead to this match. That the team that they are playing is not a team that's very well known, isn't it?
Yeah, AS Toho Brajates, they're pretty regular campaigners in Africa, but they haven't really made much of an impression. But it's a constant theme of mine. We mustn't underestimate anybody. Now, when we say they're from the Congo, they're from Congo Brazzaville, as opposed to the Democratic Republic of Congo. They have for some years now been one of the top clubs in Congo Brazzaville. But Congo Brazzaville clubs, I mean, they're certainly, let's not fool ourselves. They're not among the giants of African football. And really, Brad Jake, this is a match Stellenbosch need to win. You remember last year, they had this fantastic run to the semi-finals, but they didn't start the group stage well. They lost in Mali and then they lost at home to Berkane from Morocco. And to the credit of Stevie Barker and Stellies, they came back very well because they were 0 points after 2 games. Then they beat an Angolan team home and away, and that got them back on track. Yeah. But it's I just wish they can sort out Danny Craven Stadium so that I feel very much about Yates, not just for the players and the coach. I also feel for their very loyal supporters because I mean, of course, there's no way they can all make it to Polokwane on a Sunday afternoon. I mean, those people have got to go to work on a Monday morning. I think it would be just about impossible to. I mean, they can't afford to fly, so they would have to go on what would seem to me like an endless bus journey. But we wish Stellenbosch well, and as you rightly said, let's hope that sort of change of landscape from domestic football to African football will see Stellies through. They surely are capable, Jakes, of maximum points. But the question I have for you is, I mean, what sort of crowd are they going to play in front of in Polokwane?
Probably, there won't be a lot of people. I mean, they're playing. It's a Sunday. No. I don't think there'll be a lot of people.
3 p.m.
unless they come
afternoon. And the problem with these great stadiums that we have, like the new Peter Makabe Stadium. It holds over 40,000. That's the number of seats you've got. So, I mean, unless you have a crowd of about 20,000, it seems like a funereal sort of atmosphere.
Yes.
What I'd love to see is a few stadiums in South Africa with about 5,000 capacity. Like the where Wits, the former Premiership club used to play. You always had a good atmosphere there, even if there was just 2,500 people, because it's quite a small stadium. Yeah.
That's true. Like Seshego Stadium is perfect for
you've pointed out, so many times. Like Chiefs can draw 20,000 to the F&B Stadium, but it seems like there's just about nobody there because the stadium is so big.
Yes, because of that.
Yeah. Now, comrade, groups. Please continue.
I was about to say we are definitely going to have a new champion in the CAF Confederations Cup, given that RS Berkane are now in the Champions League.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.